Good evening. I trust that you've been well, and today's topic will be about prayer. Ah, the great tragedy of life is not an answered prayer, but an offered prayer. Instead of it being something that we do every day, like breathing, it seems to have become like that little box on the wall that says break in case of emergency. It is true to say that very often we associate with prayer with crisis in our life. Prayer is, for the most part, an explored continent, untapped resource where untold treasure remains to be unearthed. It is talked about more than anything else and practiced less than anything else. Yet for the believer, it remains one of the greatest gift our Lord has given to us, given apart from outside the salvation. In 1952, Albert Einstein was delivering a lecture on the campus of Princeton University. A doctoral student asked the famous scientist, "What is left in the world for original dissertation research?" With considered thought and profundity, Einstein replied, "Find about prayer. Somebody must find about prayer. You cannot really be a good Christian and not pray, just like you cannot have a good marriage if you do not talk to your wife. You can be a Christian and not pray, just like you can be married and not talk to your wife. But in both circumstances, you'll be miserable. Prayer is the pipeline of communication between you and God. So, let's go through a few tips in the Bible that talks about prayer. We see that you should pray with persistence. Paul begins by saying, "Devote yourselves to prayer." Persistence in prayer is not option for the Christian, it is an order from the Lord himself. In Luke chapter 11 verse 19 is where we find the promise that says, "Ask and it shall be given to you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened to you." This verse tells us that you should keep on asking, keep on seeking, and keep on knocking. Jesus does not want us to give up on this prayer. He instructs us to be persistent. There is a difference between a persistent and a long prayer. A person who is persistent in prayer does not necessarily give up or does not necessarily have to pray for a long time. Some people give up easy because they say they don't feel like praying, they don't enjoy it, that the joy is gone. But the Bible tells us that we are not to live by our feelings, but to live by the commandments. The second one is pray with passion. If you are not persistent in something, if you are persistent in something, it means you have passion in it. In fact, Paul says that we should be vigilant or be watchful. It is the opposite of slothfulness. This describes about passionate prayers. Jesus was passionate about his prayer life. It was something that he was always doing. Prayer from the heart, that's what passionate prayer is. It is prayer from the heart and not prayer from the head. The third one is you should realize how important prayer is. Another reason why we don't pray is because we don't believe in the power of prayer. You ask yourself, what difference does it make? And the reason why we ask ourselves these questions is because we don't know the promises that God has promised us in the Bible about prayer and answering our prayers. So we don't pray. But Mark chapter 11 verse 24 tells us, it tells us that whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. But does it necessarily mean that you can ask and get anything you want? We get our answer from James chapter 4 verse 3. It says, when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasures. The fourth one is assurances and promises about prayer. We are often clueless about how prayer works. We don't understand how it fits into our relationship with God and making good choices. Probably we don't understand God's love for us and His power to make our lives better. And lastly, you need to confess your sin before you pray. Most times we don't pray because we've done something wrong. In our hearts, we need to know to talk to God about it. We need to confess it. We need to agree with Him. Psalm chapter 66 verse 18 says that if I regard sin in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. But 1 John chapter 1 verse 9 says, if you confess your sin, He is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. So you should make a choice to start keeping short accounts with God. This means you deal with any sin as it comes up on the spot, and at the exact minute you slip up and fail. The last one is realize that God is always available for you. Have you ever noticed that your parents' cell phone is always available and ready? This means people can call them any hour in the day or night. Your prayer life is like a cell phone. You can pray anytime you want, anywhere you are, and talk to God for as long as you want. You have a direct line to the God of the universe. Psalm chapter 145 verse 18 tells us, the Lord is near to all who call on Him, to all who call on Him in truth. My name is Kamore. Thank you.